Hi, my name is Semeka Samuels, and I am a specialist degree student with the focus of instructional technology at Kennesaw State University. Part of One of the requirements of the specialist degree program is to create a capstone project. The title of my capstone is Digital Literacy. My teaching experience includes my current job, which is at Tapp Middle School, where I serve as a seventh grade social studies teacher. I served as a social studies teacher at Lindley Middle School, which is also in Cobb County, but I served 7th and 8th grade, and I also taught 7th and 8th grade science. My early childhood experience was at Ivy Hall Day School, where I served as a Georgia pre-K teacher. My very first teaching job was at Scholars Academy State Charter School in Riverdale, Georgia, where I was a 4th and 5th grade teacher. Currently hold a master's degree from the Kennesaw State University in early childhood education. I also I also have a bachelor's degree of science degree in early childhood with the focus of birth to kindergarten, also from Kennesaw State University. And my first degree was awarded in 1997 from the University of West Georgia in the area of sociology. I am currently certified in the following areas: early childhood education, birth to 5, K to 5, middle grades, reading, language arts, social science, math, have a reading endorsement, and I'm also certified in special education and related from K to 12. My motto, or the thing that I live by, is that failure is a part of innovation, perhaps the most important part. This capstone illustrates that. The setting and content of the capstone digital literacy took place at Tapp Middle School, which is located at 3900 Macedonia Road in Powder Springs, Georgia. Tapp Middle School is the home of 6th through 8th grade, and it is a Title I school. Our demographics are class enrollment. We have a little over 800 students. 63% of those students are Black, about 20% are white, and about 17-18% are Hispanic. When looking at our demographic, I had to really take into account what was the most pressing needs of the students, or what was the most alarming problem that the students had at Tapp Middle School. And the problem was this: majority of the students who entered and left Tapp Middle School lacked the basic digital literacy skills to be successful in the classroom and in the future. So this within itself is a huge problem. But there is an underlying problem, which is that the teachers that are employed at Tapp, some of them lack the skills to effectively implement technology in their daily instructions. So in order to help both of those things, we created the Capstone project. And it will be implemented in 3 ways. Digital literacy is a very important thing for teachers to kind of step back and look at. We have a literacy course at TAP. We call it TAP Apps. And that time, those 40 minutes, is to be focused on literacy. And what better way to introduce digital literacy or focus on digital literacy than in this particular class? So the plan was in 3 steps. In order to meet the needs of the teachers, step 1 had to take place. So workshops, professional development workshops, will be given on the topics of digital citizenships, alternatives to PowerPoint, Excel with math, and movie making for all. With the thought or the hope is that once the teachers went through those workshops, they will be able to take those skills that they learned in the workshops and apply them in their classroom. But in order to help them facilitate the implementations of digital tools, lesson plans, weekly lesson plans were created with the diverse needs of students in mind that would apply to each of these workshops. So the process is this. So teachers came to the workshop, they went through the process, they had time to practice, They left the workshop with not only a new skill, but they left with a new lesson plan so they can easily implement it in their class, in their TAP Apps literacy class, the very next day, the very next week. So the most difficult part of this plan was to make sure that the lessons were engaging for all learners, make sure that there was differentiating included in the plans, and that could be easily followed by the teachers. So if the lesson plan wasn't easily followed, then teachers would become frustrated and they would put the lesson plan and the whole idea of implementing digital tools in their classroom to the side, and we do not want that. The third part is, like I said, that the lessons will be implemented while the teachers and the students increase their digital literacy. The project was laid out. So after we sat down with stakeholders, we kind of looked at the professional development calendar, and we decided that we would focus on 4 tools. Okay, so each month of the second semester, these tools would be implemented. So the initial date or the overview for the teachers who wanted to participate in this, semester-long program or part of the program, they would meet the very first day that we came back from winter break. So the teachers would kind of sit through a workshop that they had an overview where they witnessed videos and instruction on how and why this was so important to implement digital literacy in our classes. After that, they would leave that workshop with lessons that they, at their leisure, can implement during the month of January. The month of February would focus on presentation tools. The month of March would focus on data analysis and workshops. And that workshop really had the math teachers in mind, so they were able to use Excel using mathematical concepts to teach digital literacy. And lastly, during the month of April or May, depending on the availability of teachers, we would teach a video creation workshop with lesson implementation. Now, the last month of school, traditionally, top middle school teachers have a big project-based learning project or some type of project that would allow the students to use videos as part of a performance task. So having these workshops, teachers will be more comfortable allowing students to create those videos. The evaluation plan for the digital literacy capstone was in different levels. So the teachers who participated would complete a pre-assessment prior to coming to the workshop and a post-assessment after the workshop was over to kind of assess if they grew or any misconceptions or any fears that they had, address any fears that they had about the digital tools. The second step is students will be evaluated using various assessments strategies to ensure the mastery of the ISTE standards for students. Students will be formally assessed using daily progress monitoring checklists for completion. This was a important tool to teach the teachers how to effectively monitor. Students will be formally assessed using daily progress monitoring checklists for completion. This element of the evaluation process helps teachers maintain and monitor digital tools in the classroom. So this monitoring the students' progress helps students become The evaluation plan was in different levels. The teachers who participated in the workshop would take a pre-assessment prior to the workshop and a post-assessment to assess their growth. Students would be evaluated using assessment strategies to ensure mastery of the ISTE standards for students. Students will also be formally assessed using the weekly lesson plans, using things like daily progress monitoring checklists, And this assessment was implemented because we really wanted to be able to teach the teachers how to manage the use of digital tools. And sometimes the teachers are reluctant to bringing computers or iPads into their classroom because they are uncomfortable with the management of it. So with this progress monitoring checklist, they're able to monitor the students. The students are able to monitor themselves, and the success of the implementation of the tools would be high. Okay. There would be a checklist of Web 2.0 tools. There would also include corporation learning rubrics for groups and daily reflection blogs. And the presenters, which included myself and a couple of district personnel, will be evaluated at the end of the presentation using Google surveys. The Capstone Experience started with a meeting with the stakeholders, as previously stated. There, we had to schedule the workshops, design the student lessons, which was the most time-consuming part, to design the lessons for different classroom teachers and different diverse learners, and to make sure that each lesson was engaging for the students and they grew digitally with an engaging learning experience. I had to manage the digital resources along with the Miss Lisa Roberts, who was our media specialist. We had to kind of manage what class got what resource, because unfortunately at Tapp Middle School we don't have enough resources for all the classes to use all the computers or the computer labs, which is another hindrance to why teachers don't implement technology in their classroom. As a benefit to the teachers, I provided technical support. So if it was digital, if it was differences in PowerPoints or presentation tools, I was able to be the expert and help them with their technology questions. And of course, I've had follow-ups with all the teachers who decided to join the implementation process of these digital tools. As I reflect, the thing that I learned the most, or the thing about this capstone, it was probably one of the most difficult and challenging assignments of my career. It really catapulted a classroom teacher to being to think as a digital leader in the school, and I think that's the purpose of the program. It also allowed me to look at the school from a more holistic standpoint instead of just looking at the 32 students that I had within my classroom from period to period. I was able to look at what is the best thing for our school. How does this plan align with our digital vision? How does this plan align with our district digital vision plan? But the thing that I learned the most was from Dr. Williams when we were going through the process of writing proposals and the proposal being approved, is that she warned me that my capstone I could benefit by narrowing the focus. And I totally see that now. I didn't necessarily see that then, but I can see that now, because being able to evaluate something that's 4 months as opposed to evaluating something that's 4 weeks is a completely different thing. By the time the end of the school year, teachers are so engrossed with testing and test preparations that the last thing on their mind is learning something new or implementing something brand new for their students. The most important takeaway from the development of this digital literacy capstone is that I was able to exercise the components of the technology standards for leaders. As credits, I want to especially thank Tapp Middle School faculty and staff, which includes our principal, Tiffany Honore. I want to thank Stacy Sharp, our instructional administrator, our academic coach, Christian Walden, and I especially want to thank Dr. Williams for kind of helping me see this process through. Her feedback was valuable, and I really grew as a teacher. I failed and I grew as a